Hi friends, welcome to Harmony Hills Home and Garden. I'm Jenny and we live and garden here in Baltimore, Maryland, Zone 7. I have been away from my garden for 22 of the last 25 days. And so I thought I would take you around on a tour of the gardens, maybe not all of them, and see how the gardens have fared with mostly no attention from me during the month of July. Today is July 25th, I believe. I don't even know what day it is, but let's go take a look and see how the gardens look after a couple of weeks of pretty much neglect. Now, I'm really fortunate to have been able to go several different places over the last month. In the early part of the month, we were up in Minnesota visiting our kids and grandkids, and that was an 11-day trip. Then we came home and we were home for 2 or 3 nights, and then we went on another 11-day trip to England and Scotland. And so I have a lot of footage that I've taken from various places that we've been visiting, and it's all kind of waiting for me to edit the videos and get them put out onto the channel. So I'm hoping to be able to do that over the next couple of weeks, probably. So if my following videos after this one are a little hit or miss, little like, where in the world is Jenny? That's why. But today is, I think it's Tuesday. Um, it's Tuesday in late July. I think it's Tuesday, July 25th, and we came home yesterday from Scotland. And so this morning, I'm going to take a walk around the garden. I'm going to bring you with me, and we're going to see how things look after having been gone for most of the month. Now, Dave is currently mowing mowing the lawn because it hasn't been mown in 2 weeks. So that's what that noise is in the background. But here we are. I'm starting on the north side porch, and let me just turn the camera around and get started. So this is, mostly shade garden. It looks pretty good. It looks like we had some rain while we were gone. Everything is moist. Everything is green. Nothing really has dried up too much. There are some things I left out apparently. Oops, sorry, I just hit the wind chime. Apparently I left a shovel and a bucket out while we were gone. So yeah, things look pretty good. That new tree that we put in a couple of months ago, it's looking healthy. I do see one yellow leaf down on the bottom. That could be from some rain water stress, or that could be just, just coming on to fall. It's not really, but everything in here looks pretty good, I guess I would say. I'm glad to see that it's not drought, that we didn't have any problems from drought. Most of the plants in here don't flower, but those that do, like the astilbes here, they're at the end of their flowering, so we have the flower heads browning out. Some of the hostas are currently blooming. I know some people don't like hosta flowers. I actually do like them, so I do let mine flower. This dwarf Alberta spruce that's in that container over there has died, so I'll need to take that out. When we left, the birdhouse on the tree had a family of, I believe, wrens in it, and so I'm sure those babies have fledged by now. But yeah, things are looking okay. It's a little messy, some things to clean up mess-wise. Falling leaves, the walnuts are starting to drop prematurely, and looks like this heuchera didn't really love life there, and neither did this one. So maybe I'll be thinking of a new plan for those spots, but most of the hostas look pretty good. Coming off this porch over here, I've got some cleanup to do. We've got some leaves and things that blow down in storms. My house plants all look okay, pretty good. The spider plant loves living outside in the summer. Got this fishbone cactus there. It's put on quite a few new leaves. So I've got a little bit of work to do here. Got a lot of cleanup to do around the garden, but things are looking all right. Our youngest kid did house sitting for us, and I think they didn't like the job of keeping up with the mosquito maintenance of turning the water out of the bird bath every day. So I think they just turned it upside down. So the bird bath is now ready to be refilled. Over here, let's see, the hydrangeas look nice. Some of the flowers have browned out now. Now these are endless summer hydrangeas, and I think technically they would put out new blooms if I were to cut these off. I do see a new bloom coming there, but in general, these endless summer hydrangeas here have not been known for me to bloom all summer long. They generally put out a flush in June and then, well, maybe one or two new blooms later in the season, but they're very pretty. And I do like to harvest them when they hit about this stage, I think. Well, no, that's not even dry. So I like to wait until they turn a little bit papery before I cut them off, take them inside. I've not had good luck taking fresh blossoms inside into a vase. Okay, so that hydrangea there, that is my Incrediball hydrangea. Looks like it bloomed while we were gone, and now it's turning to the other side of the bloom cycle, and they're going green now. So I'm sad that we missed the Incrediball being white. Oh, I do love these endless summers in our soil, which must be right near neutral. We sometimes get this where they're multicolors on the same flower. This is the type of hydrangea that changes color based on whether your soil is high or low pH. And I think we must be pretty much neutral because look at these blossoms. They have pink and blue on them at the same time. It's just so pretty. Back here, this is the emerald green arborvitae that we planted a couple of months ago, and it seems to be doing really well there. We have a camellia here. It seems to be all right. And this is a Pieris japonica that's got some new growth on it, so I'm happy to see that. This is my Jewel Garden patio bed, and this, what is that, Veronica Speedwell? This is its second flush of blooms, so it's doing well. The blooms come up from the bottom of the flower spike and bloom toward the top. You can see some of the old blossoms that I didn't quite get pruned off before we left, but it looks nice, and I love it with this phlox. I forget the name of the phlox. I'll see if I can find it and put it up on the screen. I love the blue with the bright magenta. It's really nice. This is the Furman's Red Autumn Sage. I pruned it back a couple of weeks ago, and it will flush out again as the season comes on. But when it blooms, it's kind of a fire engine red. And so I like this combo with this red color and this magenta and this blue together. I'm hoping over the seasons that I'll be able to convince these plants to all bloom at the same time. The Editha rose lily is finished. It was blooming on the couple of days that we were home in between trips. These are Let's Dance Rave hydrangeas, and they were blooming beautifully in between our trips as well. And I think we might have a couple of blossoms still coming, maybe not. Looks like they're a little bit chlorotic, but they were really pretty bright pink color. There's one here and one over here. This one bloomed a lot more, and now they've gone over. So that's really pretty. This is Magnus coneflower, Magnus variety Echinacea, and this is a real pollinator attractor. Probably in the long term, next year or maybe this fall, we'll move this stand of Echinacea out of this garden and replace it with something else to continue the jewel tones that we have along here. This is looking a little wilder than I kind of want up near this patio. I might turn this more into a jewel tone, more not formal, but more manicured look than this wildness here. My annuals this year didn't really do well for me. I'm not much of an annual grower, and I trimmed back my lobelia. These were the Snow Princess lobelias, and I thought they would flush out really strongly. They have not. They have flushed out fairly weakly, I would say. So I don't think I treated them the way they wanted to be treated, and I'm still learning about that. Look at the weeds growing in our grass. Oh my. Trees trying to come up. I'll have to come back and get all those out of there. So the annuals that I envisioned for across here didn't really work, so I'm still learning. It's probably something to do with fertilization, which I don't do very much of. And there's weeds, and we've been gone for a while. That is the patio area and the north side garden, all looking fairly good. I'm fairly happy with those. And now let's take a look at the veg garden. It's bountiful. Very happy with this. I've got peppers. Now, I don't think I've posted the video about this yet, but I covered some of them in organza bags to keep the squirrels off of them, and some of the rest of them I didn't cover, and the squirrels have not been bothering them. So I don't think I need to worry about squirrels on my peppers. So I'll probably take those off today and just let them all grow on. I've got a wide variety of peppers here. Some of these are Arrows, which are lunchbox red varieties. Some of these are Sugar Rush Peach and Sugar Rush Red. These are hotter peppers. That have a fruity and spicy flavor on them, the peach ones, and then back there, the red ones. You can see my cabbages, the worms have gotten to them. I should just pull those out. And same with the kale. Over here, potatoes look like they're just about ready to harvest. I do have some red potatoes under here that um, they all died back before we went on the second trip, and so I think I can harvest red potatoes down in there. But these are white potatoes, and I think they're telling me they're ready to be taken out. Here are my Brussels sprouts. Clearly, the cabbage worms have gotten to them, and we have absolutely no sprouts on them, so I'm just going to take those out. The cucumber, this was supposed to be a bush type cucumber. It looks like a vine type to me. And our house sitter child has been harvesting, and I think they said they've pulled 4 off so far. But we've got more coming along, so this is working out nicely. The rabbits got to the green bean plants again, so my bush beans pretty much a bust. I need to come up with a rabbit plan to keep bush beans in the garden. Here are my tomatoes. They're coming right along. I am bagging these to keep the squirrels off of them, but I've got some huge. This is a Brandywine. This is a Brandywine. Over here are the Romas. They're turning red. And we're getting taller and taller. I did buy some bigger spikes, but I haven't put them in the ground yet. I've got green beans, pole beans growing on the arbor back there. They're hanging in there. I don't see any beans being produced yet. And then everything else in here is pretty much a weed, except these poor green bean plants that didn't really do well. And I planted seeds for cucumbers under that basket, and they never did sprout, looks like. So, all right, well, that is the status of this upper bed. And then this is a hydrangea that I need to prune and fertilize, and maybe it'll bloom again. I've got tomatoes, and this is on the end of this trellis is a painted lady pole bean. It looks kind of spindly, doesn't it? Hannah's checking out the garden here. We've got the bachelor buttons ready to come off. I was letting them go to seed. They've done so. I'm sure I'll get way more volunteers in this garden next year than I need now, so I'll take these out. Same with the larkspur. It's ready to come out. I've got some straw flowers back behind the larkspur that are ready to be allowed to flower. And then tomatoes on the trellises. We'll go look at the tomatoes separately here in a minute. And then down in this space, looks like snapdragons kind of got leggy and bent over and stretched over onto the strawberries. And I have tons and tons of strawberry runners in here. So I need to do a little bit of maintenance here. And then under this area, under here, I have Camelot Mix foxgloves, which, get these bachelor buttons up off of them. These foxgloves are working on putting up flower spikes here. So it's quite a jungle in here. That's what happens when you leave a cut flower garden for a month in the summer. On the lower level, more strawberries need to be cared for here. This is the stalk. These have flowered and they're done. This is my Elizabeth Ashley hydrangea back there. She's looking really sweet. I've learned that she only gets about 2 by 2, so I'll probably pull that hydrangea forward in the gardening scheme and give it a little bit more room. These plants here are seeds that I sowed of sea holly, I believe. And my Juliet rose, which I thought was dying, it actually has green branches on it and 1 flower. So I'm happy to see that it's still alive. I'm hoping that it'll make it through the winter and survive there. Juliet rose is a David Austin rose that is no longer available for sale in the United States. No, I'm not selling any cuttings off of it. I've been asked, believe it or not. I'm just going to try to keep this plant here and let it grow happily, and hopefully it'll thrive. And then down in this area, I've got a mixture of a variety of things. Everything's looking fairly healthy. Montauk daisies here were eaten by deer last year, so I pulled them inside the house. Got some pokeweed needs to come out. We've got tomatoes that need to be cared for on that trellis. Let's go around and look at the tomatoes from the other side. Meanwhile, here's the echinacea that we've seen a couple of different times, although I'm not sure I got those videos posted. This is a beautiful phlox that I really enjoy. This is, I think, Sanguisorba, but here's the one blossom that it gave us this year. It didn't really, maybe two blossoms. Didn't really thrive in this location. So, Millennium Allium are blooming right now, and so is the Denim and Lace Russian Sage. This whole garden here is all these plants were just put in as a placeholder last fall when this bed was created, and I needed to have a place to store some plants. So everything that's in this area was just let's put it in this soil and keep it going over the winter. So this is all ripe for rearranging if I want to. All right, the tomatoes. These are blush tomatoes, and they have gone crazy while I was gone. And so that's happy. Also on this trellis, I've got some Cathedral Bellvine, which has started to join the tomatoes in progress here. So I've got a little bit of maintenance and care to do here to get the Cathedral Bellvine off the tomatoes. Although I think it looks like that's what's holding this tomato up right now. No flowers on the Cathedral Bellvines yet, but maybe we'll get some, maybe we won't. I don't know. But I do have some tomato maintenance to do. We've got new fruits. This is a sun gold plant, needs to be cared for. This is another blush plant, needs to be cared for. And then up here, this is a sun gold here. Looks like, ooh, we had some troubles with the sun gold while we were gone. And then this is carbon, and it has not really done well while we were gone. And then we're back here to the Roma, and these are pole beans, red noodle pole beans. Thought I put some just regular pole beans up on here too, so I don't know how they're doing. I did plant some petunias along here just for decoration, and I did get the irrigation set up in this top bed and along the tomato beds. So hopefully these plants are thriving as much as they will thrive. I don't think we get a ton of sun on these trellises because of the tree cover in the backyard. So I think maybe we're not going to see a ton of bean production this year. All right, and let's take a peek down here. This whole area here is pretty much neglected. I did plant this one emerald green arborvitae in here this year, and it seems to be thriving. Everything else down here is kind of a mishmash. I love this pink chiffon rose of Sharon. This is a dahlia that survived the winter here. I believe this one is called, is this American Dawn, maybe? It's very pretty. It looks like it needs some deadheading. Got a gold mound. Nope, not that. Lemon lace, threadleaf false cypress. We've got some, these are flowering quince. Here's another dahlia. This is Gallery Singer, I think. Nice, beautiful red color. More of the Millennium Allium. This is Calamint, and the pollinators absolutely love this. White Swan Echinacea is doing well. We've got some Lobelia here. I'm loving this color combination of this section of the garden too. This phlox is Gina variety, and this is Mount Cuba Center's recommendation on the best phlox for our area here in the Mid-Atlantic. And then some Echinacea of a darker color, the red, the darker maroon, the brighter pink, and the softer pink of the Summer Crush. Hydrangea back there, there's a hydrangea. That's another one of the Let's Dance Rave ones. And then the purple tones. Here's some more foxgloves in here that are on the tail end of their flowering. These are so pretty, I think, with all of these colors in the reddish pinkish family. It's a little wild and woolly looking. Oh, and more of the crystal spires, salvias down here as well. They're at the tail end. This is their third flush. So it's really just this wild and and wonderful combination of reds and pinks that I'm enjoying very much. Let's take a peek this side of the arbor before we go through the arbor. Oh, by the way, Dave's going to be mowing here very soon, but we got some boxwoods. This is a rose bush that I thought had died, but this year it did send out a couple more stalks. So I'm hoping that if I care for this, it will actually thrive here. This is my Chinese snowball viburnum that I made some mistakes pruning it, but I need to get back onto it and take better care of it. It's really wild looking right now. Got some cucumbers on the vine here. So many flowers. And over here, and some pokeweed, and more weeds. And yeah, it just needs a little bit of care and maintenance. The redbud tree is really, really um, thriving here, although it has a bit of a lean to it. So I'm hoping that that will send some branches out that way to kind of balance it. All right, so Dave is now mowing back here, so I'm just going to do some lookies and not talk too much. Again, the story of the whole garden is everything's doing okay, but needs some love and attention. This lily fell over. It's a stargazer. I think it's a stargazer. Maybe not, but I'll probably cut that and take it inside today. It's beautiful. All right, while Dave's mowing in the back, let's go out and take a look at the front gardens with a nicely mown lawn and doggy who is investigating our garden up there. All right, here we are. These are still violas from the springtime. And because they're on irrigation and in the shade mostly, they still are sending out some flowers. These are more of the echinacea that have kind of started to self-seed around the garden, which makes me happy. Everything here needs weeded and cleaned up. I put together these little annual pots, and down here we've got some lamb's ear, some columbine, and some hardy geranium. I thought that these columbine and hardy geranium would do better than it looks like they're doing, but the lamb's ear really is kind of a bully. So there's one petunia in there. And then here, just got a dwarf Alberta spruce in this container. And then back here, I've got this pretty begonia, and I had put in some flowering annuals in here. This is thyme. I forget what this is, but probably wants more fertilizer than I've given it. Now, I shot a video about deadheading on my plants before I went on vacation. I don't think it's gotten published yet, but I deadheaded completely every single bloom off of this plant at the beginning of July or even the end of June, and now it's flushed back out so beautifully. So that's a nice reminder that if you want your plants to bloom all summer, you do need to deadhead them. Otherwise, they think they're done for the year and they go to seed. This is a dahlia that has flopped over because I didn't stake it. Here is another echinacea that I deadheaded completely a few weeks ago. So pretty. Oh gosh, it just needs so much work. And there's some more pokeweed in this bed that is, both my husband and I are allergic to pokeweed, so we need to get that out of there. This clematis is happily blooming at the top of the tutor. Looks like it got a little bit dry while we were gone, though, because its leaves have been scorched. It is on irrigation, so hopefully it'll survive that. More white swan echinacea that, again, I totally deadheaded this before we left, and now it is fully flushed out again so thoroughly. These foxglove stems are obviously done. They need to be taken out. Got a lot of maintenance to do in this garden. Spirea needs to be deadheaded. And then over on this side under the window, I've got some cucumbers growing up back here. There are a lot of flowers on them. I don't know about how much fruit's on them. And then I've got peppers in here. And they have really produced a lot already. Inside the kitchen we have them. So I'm going to keep an eye on them. It looks like they still are putting out flowers, so we'll probably get more fruit off of these. Some of these are jalapeno style El Jefe. Some of these are ancho. Some of them are lunchbox red or other snacking styles. The annuals in the window boxes that I had cut back so hard have regrown again. I need to get some fertilizer on them so that they'll flower more prolifically. And this rhododendron is just really dying, so that'll have to come out, unfortunately. So much maintenance to be done. Oh, I've got my work cut out for me. These containers, again, I had deadheaded them pretty thoroughly before we left, and so they've reflushed. And same story over here. That has all reflushed, so that's nice. More deadheading to do. Everything's looking okay. The roses need to be deadheaded. Got some gomphrena and verbena, bonariensis, and lobelia, and petunias. And they're very wild and woolly. Dave's going to finish the mowing. That is a weed. That's grass. Yeah. He's going to finish the mowing now. So again, back to pictures only. Agastache. This is a blue fortune. Looking pretty good. More pokeweed. These are the salvias down there. They're pretty much done blooming. And this is a fairy rose. I had pruned it hard before we left, and looks like it's putting out some new sprouts and flower blossoms. The deer have been here for sure because the echinacea has been eaten back. And those are blue sea holly plants down in there. I'm letting the wild violets stay in here, but I do have weeds in here that aren't wild violets, so I'll be working on that. This is a blue mist shrub. It's getting ready to put out its flowers along the stems. Liatris is going strong. Lots of violets in here, but that's okay. It's a natural native ground cover, and I'm letting it happen. You might be shocked and dismayed to hear that, but I figure, why not? Because look what I'd be fighting if I were trying to get them out. Dahlias here, pokeweed, more dahlias. This is a sugar tip rose of Sharon. It's variegated, really pretty variegation. Then it has these little buds. I haven't seen many flowers on it, but here's some. It probably gets too much shade. And oh, look, the deer have been on it. Dang it. At the tips, everything. The deer are eating it. Shoot. This is a new smoke bush that I've recently put in this year. It's called Velvetini, so it should stay smallish, probably 4x4. Hopefully that'll be a nice red foliage accent in this area. The Dragon Lady hollies look like they got a little dry, so they're drying up from the bottom up. So hopefully I'll be able to care for those better, keep them thriving. This is my button bush. Looks like the deer ate. And here are some more dahlias with some weeds. And here is my little Henry Sweetspire that the deer pruned for me. So, you know, if it says deer resistant, it's buyer beware, because the deer in my neighborhood eat almost everything I put out. That is a Japanese holly that the deer ate. And this is a winterberry that the deer ate. Dragon Lady that's drying up a little bit. And here is American Beautyberry. Took a little bit of a harsh winter, but it did come back. So I'm hoping that this beautyberry here will be thriving over the years. Skip laurels look all right. Oh my gosh. The deer totally munched on all the viburnums. 4 viburnums here, 3 all that glitters, and 1 blue muffin, and they are just decimated. And my Southern Gentleman winterberry also. Just decimated. What? Oh, gosh. I have not been spraying this year. Oh, and there's my China Boy holly that they've been eating too. Oh my gosh. All right, so now I haven't done any spraying in 2023, the deer repellent sprays. And so this is what happens when I don't do any deer repellent. I am hoping on Hooked and Rooted, she reviewed some little electronic stakes that when they draw the deer in with a smell of floral scent or some botanical scent, and then when the deer get up on them and stick their nose down there, it gives them a little bit of a zap. And I'm hoping to see if I can get some of those and use them here because spraying is just hit or miss. It's time consuming, it's expensive, and I just haven't had time to do it this year. So I'm going to see about getting some of those spikes. And if I have success with them, I'll let you know. All right, let's take a look. I don't think I've shared with you yet that we put up an arbor over our front walk. This is a project we did in late June, and pretty happy with it so far. Planted one thing on it so far, which is the honeysuckle over here. This is a native honeysuckle. I forget its name. Oh, here's a tag. John Clayton honeysuckle. It's a yellow flower, native one. And apparently it's tasty because the deer have been on it. But I'm hoping that this will grow up here and cover some of over the top here with native plants. And then this Jackmanii clematis, which is finished blooming for this season, next year I'll prune it back and move it over and have that growing up this side. At least that's my current plan. And the beds all need to be weeded, of course, and cared for, but the Millennium Allium are doing well. Magenta Chiffon, Rose of Sharon, blooming, but also has been pruned by the deer. Lots of buds on it. Last year I planted zinnias in here, and this year I intended to plant zinnias in here for summer color, but I never got around to it. So I still have the seeds. I'm hoping that they'll survive until next spring when I can use them in this area. Now, I don't know what this is. I'm hoping that it's a great blue lobelia because that's something that I planted in here last year and I thought it had died. And then when I saw this plant growing, I thought, well, it might be a big weed or it might be a great blue lobelia. It is getting ready to go to flower, so we'll find out here shortly what it is, but it could be just a huge giant weed. I don't know. It looks like it might be something like a pokeweed, but it has different shaped leaves than a pokeweed. I don't know what it is. We'll find out. So, lots of weeding to do, lots of care to do, clean up after being gone for most of the month. But all things considered, I'm fairly happy. It looks like we've had plenty of rain. The lawn is totally green. We had a cool, dry spring. So it was a little bit of a shaky start to the season rain-wise, but it looks like we've had rain while we were gone. Everything is green and lush. Feels very humid. So on this side, things are growing together. Again, more care and attention needed, deadheading needed, weeding, and so forth. But in general, it's not a bad place to start. Did you take a vacation from your garden this season? If so, tell me in the comment section down below how things looked when you returned. Did you have somebody helping take care of things while you were gone? Did you just leave them on an irrigation system? Did you just leave them to their own devices? Let me know your summer gardening strategies. Today, this is the state of things on Tuesday, July 25th. And, from here on forward, I'm going to be publishing videos of our trip to Minnesota, videos of our trip to England and Scotland, and then videos from around the garden here. I'm hoping that the summer schedule slows down a little bit and I'll have a little bit more time to do video editing from here forward. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed what you saw, and I hope you're having fun in your gardens. I'll see you again sometime real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.